Take you back now to Megawatt Park in Johannesburg, where the South African Federation of Trade Unions is holding a night picket this evening outside Eskom's offices. It follows the longest round of load shedding on record. SAFTU says the protest is also in opposition to the privatisation of the utility. Newzroom Afrika's Tumaole Mohlaoli joins us live from the utility there in Sunning Hill. That's where the headquarters of Eskom are. Tumaole, moments ago we heard the General Secretary of SAFTU, Megawatt, claiming that there is a deliberate plot to defund SOEs like Eskom and deliberately create inefficiencies in order to privatize. Tell us a bit more.
Well, indeed, this is the view of General Secretary of SAFTU, Megawatt, saying that what we're seeing in terms of the decline of SOEs is a deliberate plot, or deliberate ploy rather, to try and open a gap for the private sector to take over and ensure that the poorest of the poor remain the poorest of the poor. And in fact, what Vavi has called for is a sit-in Wednesdays, saying that this particular picket and demonstration outside Eskom is only the beginning, and saying that the working class should rouse from what he calls a lull, saying that in other parts of the country, people would not be standing for what they're seeing now, and they would take to the streets in their numbers. But he says this is only the beginning, and the struggle continues from here on in. But let's hear more from Mr. Megawatt. Dr. Vavi, you're saying this is only the beginning, and you're calling on the working class to come here every Wednesday. Why is it important for them to continue the struggle?
Well, we're fighting against a phenomenon where we are beginning to see signs that South Africans, its working class, its youth, women, and all sectors of society are beginning to see all of this totally abnormal situation as a new normal. We're beginning to comply. We're beginning to accommodate this load shedding as just part of how we should be doing things in 2022 and going forward. It's been 15 years now, and load shedding is getting worse than yesterday. Every day is getting worse. We're beginning to celebrate one-day relief, and we think that we are liberated. We can't make this a normal. That's what we are insisting on. So this ought to be the beginning of daily night vigils outside the Megawatt Park, where more and more shopkeepers, organizers, staff of the affiliates, activists of the trade unions, activists of the working class formations, and even the neighbors here at Sunning Hill should join, and to communicate a message to say, but this is not part of the dreams we had that our democracy will look like. This is totally abnormal, and we should not normalize this. Surely the president must be held accountable. For 15 years under his watch, we have seen even worse and worse levels of load shedding. Surely the ministers that he has put in charge of energy and public enterprises must be held accountable. Surely the CEO, the COO, and all of the senior executives that have failed to find a solution for so long. I mean, the raters have been here since 2020. Instead of launching a renewable program to use our sun, our water, and our natural resources to generate energy for South Africa, they have been bringing in independent power producers, giving them a guarantee that they will be profitable at the expense of the very Eskom for the next 40 years. We think all of them must go.
Mr. Vavi, what would happen if the current status quo continues?
We're losing jobs. Every day, workers get turned back in their workplaces. They are working short time. Every day, workers are being told that they will not get full salary. Every day, workers are being pushed into even deeper levels of poverty. Every day, inequalities are growing because the big firms do have money to buy generators, and they can fill them up with diesel every day, but the small macro enterprises can simply not cope with these levels of disruption of the energy supply. So that's we're paying. Workers are the first in the line to suffer every time this load shedding is sustained. That's the first point. The economy has stagnated even before COVID. We will never have a growing economy, irrespective of the economic model we want to have, whether it is a progressive, developmental, or whether it is the current neoliberal austerity economic program that this government is pursuing. Any model will fail without energy. For 15 years, this economy has been put on its knees. We believe that this is deliberate. You can't tell us that you can't find a solution to a crisis of energy. For 15 years, you have been sitting in the war rooms, leading the war rooms. You have been deputy presidents, you have been president, cabinet ministers, you have been CEOs. You can't solve a problem for 15 years. That's why we believe that this is a deliberate, engineered crisis. Engineered as part of this thesis that says, if you want to hand over public enterprises, first defund them and make them very inefficient, make people very angry, and then eventually bring in private players as the solution to the crisis. The independent power producers are seen by the government as the solution. Clearly, this is a beginning of a process of privatizing energy and putting energy generation in the hands of yet another monopoly coming elsewhere in Europe.
Now we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for that views. That was SAFTU's General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi, painting quite a bleak picture of where we stand in terms of the energy crisis in South Africa, and saying that renewables would be the way forward. So every Wednesday going forward, calling on workers to come out in their numbers and stage a picket at the doorstep of the power utility for South Africa, Eskom, which he says has been deliberately debunked in order to create a new order, and an order that's left many in the dark. But that's the situation for now, and we'll continue to give you coverage of this developing story. With that, it's back to you in the studio.
That's Tumaole Mohlaoli there live outside Megawatt Park.